or the white Bronco chase.
Yeah.
Yes,
We saw you get a
yes.
turkey big enough for 20.
I didn't do it.
I'm just really hungry.
We like the leftovers, which is true.
I purposely bought the smallest turkey I could because I was like, I can't deal with all the leftover turkey forever. Nobody takes bunch with.
I like turkey sandwiches the next day.
Yeah, I can. I'm good. I'm good the next day, but not for the next like week worth of turkey.
Hey, John, can you focus a little bit? Pardon me? Can you be focused a little bit? You guys are all bright.
That's why we are getting.
Why are you yelling?
I know.
Because you're blurry. That's not loud.
Hey, Glenn, you sound just like 5.
Because you're blurry. Hey, Rudiger,
Turn your mic level down, Glenn.
can you have John Hannon send Patrick the link again? It's not working.
I'll forward him the email right now.
Thanks.
The only thing they can see is just that one screen
Yeah.
of all of us.
Yes.
Not up close and personal.
That's why we got a new camera. It's not installed yet. It needs like a power source up there. But once it's installed, we'll be able to zoom in a little bit clearer. So let me go let Patrick in.
Oh, is he here?
No, in the meeting room.
Oh.
Patrick, I guess I don't know why he was talking to him.
He said he found it. He was using the old one.
Okay, yeah, I just forwarded him.
I'm gonna hit
Hi,
Yeah, hit
Patrick.
record. We're ready.
Hello, Mr. O'Malley.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Good.
Did you hit it?
Mine smells like pears. or
Hannon?
whatever that hand
Yeah, we're good.
It's good.
I need to use that word.
What time you showing up, Pat? Using an email from last time, and I didn't realize that they change every time.
Are you bringing me your hands?
It is.
Do you smell the onions on my hands? It doesn't. Quick, Purell me.
Vanilla pear.
Oh, thank you. For midway through, when I start to smell them again, you can't get rid of onions.
You ready?
Ready.
All right. I want to call this Finance Committee meeting of Monday, November 23rd to order. If we could stand up for invocation and pledge, please. Don, can you lead us in the pledge?
I can't stand up. Everybody with me? I can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
United States of America.
And to
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, would you please say invocation?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Let's pray. God, thank you for all the good things that you give to us, and even when things seem out of control or just not enjoyable, we just thank you for all of the good things that we do have. And I'm thankful for this season of gratitude, and I pray for your continued hand on our city, on all of the employees, on our police, on our fire department, on the first responders, the doctors and the nurses. Give them safety and protection. And I just pray that you would have your hand on blessing on us and help our meeting to go smoothly and well. And it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Here, Caroline, can you please call roll?
Mr. Kasiska?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Hannon?
Here.
See?
He's here.
Here.
Mr. Lampa?
Here.
Mr. Whittaker?
Present.
Mrs. Wagner?
Here.
And Mrs. Field?
Present.
Okay. Make sure Julie doesn't, or I mean Jen doesn't have her mute on.
Talk, see if they can hear you.
Is that better? I pitched it.
Is that, tap on it.
The red button should be up and the mic should be towards your face.
Hit the button again.
No. Is it working now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's working now.
Okay. All right, item 4, disposition of minutes. Special Finance Committee meeting of September 14th, 2020. Special Finance Committee meeting of November 9th, 2020.
Motion to accept as presented.
Second?
First and second to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, they're accepted. Item 5, monthly financial report. Ms. Essery.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Council received the October financial reports on November 2nd. As of 10/31, there were no issues with salaries and wages. General fund expenses were below target at 81.21% because target should have been 83.33. Total expenses were at target at 83%. Revenues were above target at 88% for the general fund and also at 88% for the total revenues collected. As far as income tax receipts, the good news is that if we look at what we were budgeting compared to what we were collecting, our collection should have been for November at 91.66, but we were actually at 92.29, so we definitely are seeing, even if it's a little surplus, I'd love to see a surplus at about $81,000 from January to November collections. So I don't know if anyone had any questions or...
It's great news.
I don't? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Essery.
Mr. Ring, can I just double check that Mr. Hannon turned the recording system on when you turned the YouTube on?
Yeah, I did.
He did.
Okay, yes.
All right, item 6, old business. A, set pay for next term of at-large council members. Mr. Rudiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was brought up earlier this year. We are looking to bring the at-large council members up to the same pay scale that the ward council members are at, effective as soon as the new term commences in 2022. As everybody knows, the wards were increased in 2020, so it's only fair that the at-larges be brought up to the same level.
So, from what I read, don't we have to pass this after the first of the year? Mr. Benny?
That's correct. Right after, we have to do it after the 1st of January.
Okay.
So I think we were advised to bring this up in November for discussion. That way we could get legislation created, and then we can go ahead and, I mean, it doesn't need to be even passed by emergency. That way, if we want, we can have 3 reads for it.
Ms. Field?
Thank you. I thought, so we didn't do this when we did it for the ward members? I thought that we
The way it was written, and I'm not sure why, but the way it was written, it was only written for the ward members. Starting in 2020, the at-larges were left off of it
I
for some
thought we
reason.
included at-larges, but it would be for the next,
I thought we did too, but apparently the way it was written wasn't
Okay.
written.
but that was our intention.
That was our intention, absolutely.
It just didn't happen for some reason, the way
Correct.
the legislation was written. So we need legislation to write so that it reflects the same, which I agree. Every council member should get paid the same
Right, absolutely.
amount. Okay.
Mr. Lampa?
Thank you. So can we just copy the old legislation, change the dates, and change it to at-large and just present that?
I think Mr. Benny that's probably his intention. We just,
Well, that's right. It was the first thing I wanted after that. I think it's trying to go along with your charter where it says it has to be set for those that are coming up with the seat. So it's only those people that are running for election. That's why it's written the way it is, I believe.
Yeah, so Mr. Benny, reading it, I mean, it specifically says, and for city council members, for council members' terms of office commencing December 15th, 2019, which was only the ward councilman at that point. So I imagine if you just wrote the same thing, remove the references to the mayor, and just put council members whose offices commence December 15th, 2021, then it would affect the same outcome, right?
That's correct.
very good. If everybody does agree and think that's a good suggestion, I would ask that Mr. Benny go ahead and prepare legislation for us to look at and consider for the December, I don't know, what is it, the 10th or December 14th
14th.
meeting?
Service and safety, right?
Yeah. So we can look at it. Actually, probably just have it presented for the next finance meeting.
Yeah, December 28th.
Yeah, December 28th. So I'll make a motion to move this to the December 28th finance meeting, and Mr. Benny will hopefully get us legislation for that meeting.
Second.
The first and second to move this to December 28th.
Caroline has a question.
Yeah, I just want to point out that it seems you guys are saying that you want the new legislation to match the current council people, but the codified ordinance says that their pay rate should match the current rate of the PERS eligibility, which is now different, and apparently it seems to change every year. So I just want to make sure we're meeting the law.
So
Yeah,
it
so-
would actually be a couple $100 more.
Yeah, we,
And they've been behind more than a couple $100 for the last 2 years.
Mr. Benny, we talked about this though, didn't we? Where we for some reason I was under the impression that we couldn't tie it directly to OPERS. I don't understand why we can't, but
It's tied to OPERS, but you can't do it all at the same time. You can't raise the according to your charter, you can't raise the individuals' pay that aren't running for election.
so then the question, so we can tie it to OPERS. Why?
Correct.
I wonder why we didn't do that last time. Why is it a fixed amount as opposed to fixing it to the?
But the fixed amount was the OPERS, was the minimum, the fixed amount was the OPERS minimum.
Yeah, but it's
tied to OPERS.
instead of putting an actual dollar amount in that box, you would just put minimum OPERS at the time of election.
But the charter says you can't change the pay during the term of office.
Right, but that
You have to
would,
set it at the beginning of the term.
during the office, that would just start at the
It would
first
start in
full
that,
year.
it would start at the, whatever it is at the time of the election, and then and then the next election, it would automatically change to whatever it is at that election.
Kind of like the mayor has it doesn't have a set amount, it's 1% higher than,
8%.
yeah, a percentage.
But that
higher
doesn't
than
change
the-
during his term.
No,
No.
and neither would this, that's
It-
the point,
Right,
yeah.
but it's not a set number, it's a certain percentage higher than the highest paid department head other than the law
Legal.
department.
So, Mr. Benny, can we set it to read that it's to match the minimum OPERS, whatever it is at that election year, and then that's just what it is through the term until the next election?
You can do that, but you're still gonna have two differential pays.
Well, that's all right. It's always going to be different, because each election, the OPERS is going to, it'll be different. Then in 2 years, when the ward seats are reelected, the OPERS will change by that point too. So that's all right. I don't think that bothers me at all.
That's actually good because it takes out of all future council's hands having to worry about
Right,
doing this mess all over again, and then we can just,
right.
I like, that would probably actually be the easiest thing to do.
So what happens when?
Well, I think the way this 12107 reads is that it's fixed. It doesn't have a set amount, it just says the amount minimum in subsection A. Just says whatever the minimum of OPERS is the fixed rate.
Yeah, so that's, I think, what we would just need our legislation to say when we pass it this time, and then I don't think we need to pass it anymore. And then, although in 2 years, when the wards come up, because this has the last legislation has a fixed amount, we'd have to pass
The same thing.
this same
for-
legislation we're about to at that time. But after that, then it would be set, and there'd be no necessity to revisit it, because no matter when the election is, whatever OPERS is at that point, that's what it's set at.
Austin,
Yes, Chuck?
is there a difference in, the two wages
Yes.
There will,
between,
yeah, there will be.
which one is higher?
Whoever was last elected.
Most recent, yeah, the most recent election will be higher every time.
Okay, who says that the city can't give more money to the one with the lesser amount?
Your charter.
The charter.
Right.
You say you cannot give them more?
It's set, you can only get a pay during the year that you're running for the election. So if it's an off year, you can't get a raise.
Right.
It can only be set.
Okay, well, the ones that are getting the money now are at the higher cost as the previous,
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
than it was previously, right?
And then
So
whoever,
you're saying we cannot give these folks a raise to match the at-large that's coming up next November?
Right.
correct.
They'll get a raise at, well, whoever gets elected at the next ward
Yeah,
election.
yeah, I understand that. I'm trying to figure out a way to match the two, and that's the only reason I bring that up.
Not a- It'll always be,
They'd have to go to the voters.
it'll always be different.
There was some conversation about, like, if the OPRS minimum was like 8,000, that we put it at $500 more. So then that way, in 2 years, we're all on the same.
But that
Yeah,
would.
but then 2 years later, it
Then
might
that
not.
would, then it would still change and be different.
Well, so like if the goal is to go for the PERS minimum, a year into a, like, say I get reelected at large, I'm at the new pay at the PERS minimum.
Mhm.
I thought the goal was to get the credit for the PERS,
That was the original goal.
and then if it changes the minimum a year in, then you don't get it. I mean, I don't care either way. I don't know if that's like, I thought that was the reason why we
Miss-
tied it to it.
Was.
Mr. Benny, does the charter read that the pay shall be, it reads the pay shall be fixed at whatever the minimum required is for an full OPERS credit, but does it read it shall not change after the first time? Or does the charter actually read that it should change every time OPERS changes?
No, it's not your charter, it's your, the ordinance 12107 says it's attached to the OPERS. The charter says you have to fix it during the period of the election.
Okay.
But can we, but
I
can
see you,
that,
Glenn, hold on.
can that number be a fixed floating number, or does it have to be a fixed permanent number? Can it be a fixed number that is fixed to the OPERS?
I think that's the way your ordinance reads.
But a floating fix where it readjusts every year.
Because like our problem now is you guys.
You can't do that because then it's changing during the period of your term. That's contrary to your charter.
Let me just
Go ahead, Ms. Field.
just really quickly keep in mind that the amount that it's so minimal, and I understand our intention or the intention because I voted no for a raise at all. I understand the intention behind this was to get that benefit, but at the same time, consider what that benefit even is. I mean, at $7,000 a year, what does that even put away for retirement? I mean, we're talking pennies. So I think it definitely everyone should be making the same amount. So, and if we're trying to keep chasing after the OPERS, fine, but then we have to accept that there's going to be seasons and years where there will definitely be a difference between what the ward people make and what the at-large council members make. But at the same time, I think we need to keep that perspective that no matter what, it's really not, I mean, it's
minimal.
It's very minimal.
Right.
Unless we want to, I mean, unless
you
we're
break it down
talking
to-
about, right, unless we were making 30, 40 a year, well, then that's a totally different story. And I'm not proposing that by any stretch. I'm just saying,
Julie
yeah,
suggests.
no.
Ms. Field, I agree with that sentiment. To me, I understand what the purpose is, but if we affix it to OPERS and it changes at the election year, you're going to get 1 year of credit, and then the next year OPERS, it always goes up.
Yep.
So the next 3 years, you won't have the credit. So I actually don't understand why we even bother tying it to the OPERS, in my opinion. Like, why shouldn't we just fix it? We can change, it's just an ordinance. We can change that. The charter doesn't require us to fix it to OPERS. An ordinance does. We can amend that. Mr. Mayor, go ahead. He's had it up for a while.
Section 4.15, compensation of bonds. Not less than 90 days immediately preceding the date of the next primary election, as provided for in section 1901 of this charter, in the case of the mayor of the next primary election in the year in which the mayor is elected, the compensation of the mayor and each member of council shall be fixed upon fixed effective upon commencement of the next terms of office, and shall not thereafter be changed with respect to such terms.
Good, perfect. So,
My recommendation would be,
fixed amount.
John can go in and look at SORB and see what the general trend has been, how much they have raised it over a period of years. And if you look at over a period of 4 years, it raises $200 a year. Perhaps you should fix it at the beginning of the term to compensate you so that you get your time in PDRS for retirement up until the end of the term. So it might be a couple $100 more, but at the end of the term, you'll be up to where you should be instead of getting it in the beginning and then losing the next 3 if by chance they should change that.
Yeah, I actually don't even think we need to go that far. In my opinion, PERS isn't, while it's great that it's there, you know, unless I've been a public employee for the last 30 years and I want to keep those credits, I don't,
Like,
yeah. I just think if we just fixed an amount and didn't even consider what OPERS is, everybody would get paid the same, wouldn't matter, then that would just be that. Kind of how it was before all this. I mean,
Right.
before all these raises started and this OPERS stuff came into play, everybody just made the same amount.
Right.
And that's just what it was.
Justin, that would be the idea, would be to look at what the OPERS minimum is, okay, and then kind of tie it to that, but yes, put a fixed number on it, but have that at the end. I mean, in the case of Mr. Ritter, you're going to be 12 years. That could lead to a significant retirement. Miss Fields is going to be 12 years.
Yeah.
That could lead to a significant retirement, and you would not want to lose those. You would not want to lose those credits. All you guys know, it ain't a piece of cake being a council person, and you know, getting compensation for it is just and right. So, you know, why don't you look and see, generally as a rule, what OPERS goes up, and make sure that over that period of 4 years that you get to that amount. I mean, that's just, you know, just a thought.
So what would that would have to look like? I'll get to you, Mike, in a sec. That would have to look like OPERS plus 10% or something like that, where it's always going to be enough to cover. But we don't know if that's going to always be enough. If it's not, I guess a council could revisit it. But I mean, either way, I'm fine fixing just an amount. I'm fine. That's not a bad suggestion, Glenn. I mean,
OPERS plus 10.
OPERS plus 10% or whatever.
Or as necessary.
The chart in your packet with Oprah all the way to 2027. But that also can change. OPERS can change that every year, so that's,
Right.
as much as that's being presented, I just want to put the caveat out there that they could change that at a board meeting this year. You know?
Right, in necessary, that's where we would have to, and this is the problem with having it tied and having it be a floating amount, is that we would have to rely on the finance director to remember that when it comes, you know, when election time comes around every 2 years and go, okay, well, you know,
Someone else is
or,
in
yeah,
the
it's just,
position.
it's just one more thing to have to keep track of that.
Mr. Ring, it's the minimum earnable salary will, it's right here, will increase by 1.75% each year beginning January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2029. So right here, it says 1.75%. You compound that in, it's right around 10%.
10%, right, but that, as Ms. Essery said, though, that could change at any moment, right?
Absolutely,
But,
absolutely.
you know, if Mike, Mr. Lampa, if you want to go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So, how much was OPERS when wards were elected?
$7,920.
No, that's the salary for council.
Yeah, it was tied directly to OPERS at that time.
Okay, so what is it for, gonna be for the at-large then?
Well,
Well, it already went up once.
It's already went up
So you-
twice.
Yeah,
so
not
it's,
like,
we're already behind because it was tied to the 660. So if you take 660 times 12, because at the time that was the best estimate we had, and that was the 2019 amount. And so that was 7,920.
Yep.
But then in 2000 and, I'm sorry, yeah, so starting in 2020, it's 673.08 times 12, that's $8,076.96.
And then add 10% on top of that.
So,
I'm sorry?
so $13 more per month, Mike, to answer your question.
Okay, so I had actually this conversation with a council person in Twinsburg, and they actually ran into the same thing, and that's why they made their salary at $12,000. So that they didn't have this Oprah's issue keep coming up.
Actually,
Oh, eventually, right,
But, so
50 years from now.
So right now, so the first year that I was on council, I was receiving Oprah's credit, and now you're telling me for 3 years I'm not going to.
Correct.
correct.
I thought it went up.
I have an issue with that.
Well, actually, you're not getting a full credit, you're getting some credit.
I'm getting some credit, and
Correct.
Billy, I know you said it was pennies, but mine is not pennies if you invest correctly.
Okay.
So I have an issue. I think all council members should make the same amount, because I know that I am well worth more than what we make in all the work that I'm doing.
Mr. Ring, going through 2029, that amount will be $9,441.84. So I would say anything 10,000 or more will cover for the next decade.
Yeah, but we can't change current,
No, you can't change current.
yeah,
but-
we can't change the ward seats, period, at this point, until the
Right.
next election year
Correct.
for ward seats. So anything going forward would start this coming election year, and then it'd have to be dealt with in 3 years when ward seats are up.
So in 3 years, we'll ask the same question.
So,
Mm-hmm. Only 1 year.
I thought it went up right after you guys got elected.
It
I
did.
thought-
It did.
It did, so
Like,
actually,
literally-
the people in 2020 have not earned a full year credit.
Correct. So yeah, we didn't even get one
If you
year.
get 1 year.
Yeah, we didn't even get 1 year. So, and we're talking about a difference of $29 per week. I'd say we just, as Mr. Lampus suggested, just make it a flat amount that we know is going to cover for quite a while. If we go to 10,000, it'll cover for the next decade. If we go 11 or 12, it'll cover for the next couple decades. More than likely. I mean, it could change, but, and just be done with it.
I'm still thinking, Mike, how you invest it. Don't they invest it for us? I guess this is a side conversation.
No, you can change where you invest it.
Oh,
Self-directed.
right.
Right.
But-
He's actually gone online and has figured out that it's actually quite a bit that he's,
Really?
yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk, Mike. 'Cause I haven't paid any attention to it at all, which I probably should.
So what are our wishes at this point? You would
There's a
just
motion on the floor, I'm not sure the vote ever
I don't think there's-
finalized because I interrupted, but we had a motion to send
I withdraw the motion.
draft legislation to December 28 finance.
So,
first and second were withdrawn, Caroline.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So it sounds like we need to make the decision how we want to go about this, because this would be a substantial raise if we attempted to make sure that we could get, and this wouldn't apply now until the at large, and it would only be for the at large, and then we would have to wait.
Well, we
years.
could word it that it's just like it was before for all council, starting their elected term. And we wouldn't have to go with this at-large ward thing. And just make it all council, starting with their elected term, would make X amount and just be done with it.
But there's nothing we can do now about what's
About the
already-
wards, no.
Yep.
But the wards have been making extra now,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it's fine that the
Yeah.
at-larges are making extra
Yep.
for 2 years, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know.
Just make it 10 or 12 and then just flat and then just move on and just.
That'll cover.
Thoughts?
You make the
10,
motion.
12,
Yeah, I don't-
11.
Yep.
I like the flat rate just so we don't have to keep doing this.
Right.
But like, if
Well, eventually you're gonna have to do it again, but I get it.
Yeah,
I
we're
get it.
talking,
especially because like, not all of us aren't gonna be here
Right.
forever. So like,
Sure.
if we keep, in 3 years, if there's different people up here, it's gonna be even more confusing. I mean, half
Right.
of us were here anyways, and we're kind of trying to remember what we were talking about.
I don't mind
12,
if,
and that covers it for the next.
I don't mind a
two
flat amount.
decades, and
That's up to you guys. That's a little aggressive to me, but
10
Well,
will
if
cover
you
us
said,
for the next decade.
you said 10 would cover us for the next decade. I mean, that would. I think that would be.
And then
more-
whoever's
more
here in
realistic.
10 years is their
Yeah.
problem.
and
to
that
deal
and
with
that but that's only if nothing changes.
Right. Well, the next 10 years I've already set out here, and that will cover the next 10 years, would be 10.
Jenny's saying no.
No?
They put the information out there, but the board changes it because we thought that 600 even or 660 even was gonna be enough, and then they changed it
Yeah.
at the last minute.
Yeah.
So the board is constantly changing it because they need to understand what their ratios are to ensure that all the retirees are covered. So that's why that changes all the time.
This is one of the reasons I like the
Tying it.
percentage above. That way, no matter what in the election year, you're gonna
That's fine,
you're gonna
too.
tie a percent. But is that percentage gonna be enough?
Right.
To cover a 4-year span.
Right.
That's the only question.
10% over, or,
Yeah, if it's PERS plus 10%, it probably should be close to enough. But if they come back next year and go, well, we're going to raise it 4% every year, then it wouldn't be. So that's just a risky run.
Personally, I'm in favor of just a flat rate,
I agree, Chuck.
and eventually everybody's gonna get caught up with it then. And then there's no squabble on percentage and dollars, how it's gonna change.
And they'll
That's
just have-
kind of what I was asking at the beginning, how do we get the two together? And with a flat amount, and after 2 years, the other's gonna catch up at the same amount, is that correct,
Correct.
Frank?
right.
Or we can write it that amount will kick in at the next election for the other ones. Right. Yeah, we can write it like that.
Why don't we do that?
This way you've got them, everybody's making the same amount.
Let me just ask something. I'm sorry.
That's a simple way.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. So, Miss Essery, when I first started on council, I think I was making around, what was it, just over $3,000.
I was gonna say 3,000 or 4,000, I think.
$3,600, because that's still what I'm making.
Okay,
3,600, and then just last year, thank you. Just last year, that increased and it doubled.
so,
So
yes.
I guess,
uh,
Miss Essery, my question would be: there are 7 council members, and we increase the salary, or how does this impact the budget? Because there's quite a difference between $3,600 and $10,000 for 7 people. So what does that look like from your perspective?
$8,000.
Okay, so let me do a little math here. So
Order?
roll with me here. So if we're talking about $6,400 a person, and then we're gonna say there's 3 people, so that's just $19,200 just in wages. And then we have 1.45%, which is about $280 in Medicare, and then 14%, which is the matching for PERS. So that's about $22,168 just for the 3 people.
Annually?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So when all 7
And that's
council
based on the
members-
10,000.
Okay, so when all 7, that will be,
Well, that's gonna be a different number, only because they're at 79.20.
More.
20.
So that's 8,000 more.
I
Yeah.
guess what I'm getting at, Ms. Essery, is once all 7 council members, if all 7 are on this proposed idea of around 10,000 per person. So then that is going to
30,000 more per year.
impact our budget in a way.
Oh, very much so, yes,
I just wanted to make
Yes.
that point.
yes.
30,000 more per year.
So, and I was opposed to a raise, and I know other council members, you know, when we had this discussion, I had gone down the route of, you know, I have a hard time giving council a raise, and I'm not saying what we do. I'm more along the lines of how do you even put a number on this? How do you put a number on a position like this? I think it's a very difficult thing to do, and I really don't like that it's in our hands, if you will. I almost think this should be something that either our residents vote for or someone else makes the decision, because if we wanted to discuss actual numbers of what this job is worth, and I mean you could go all over the map with this, and so I also like the idea of keeping it as a position that is more of serving your community. And I know that gets tricky. I mean, it's nice to have a little stipend, if you will, or something that you get paid for all of the work, but then at what point does the pay even begin to cover what all a council person puts in? And I know there are 7 people on council, and we all add a lot of value to what we do up here. But we also have I would say with the 7, that there's always, every council, there's a degree or there's a spectrum of what time commitment is there, if that makes sense. And that's not saying one person works harder than the other. It's just how it works. Time is precious, and I don't think you can put a dollar on time. So I just have a hard time with this whole conversation, other than I believe every single person should be making the same amount. So I'm all for let's make that adjustment and do what we need to do to make sure we're all on the same page as far as that goes. And I understand that there's retirement or whatever with this. So I'm having a hard time with this conversation at this point. That's just where I'm coming from.
And then stop talking.
Hey,
Just teasing, don't get all bent out of shape, but Mike, you hold your temper over there too.
I am, trust me.
So, Julie, I'll get to you in a sec, John. Julie, just to piggyback off that, I agreed with you in this. I wasn't on council at the time, but when this conversation first came about, I agreed with that. I wouldn't. I think I may have been running, but I don't want to do this for the money. That's not the point. However, that conversation was already had.
Yeah.
Council's already been increased, so now we're just trying to fix it.
and that's fine,
Yeah.
and I agree that we need to fix it. But now we're talking about raising to $10,000, and sorry, Mike and Chuck.
I'm making 36 on there a year. How much you making?
Well, and Chuck, I think you need to be making whatever. That's what
No.
we're all saying the same thing. We all think we need to be making the same amount. So.
Mr. Rudiger?
Thank you. Mrs. Field mentioned that she wishes that it wasn't in our hands and that somebody, tell you what, every single village and township trustee is set by the state. And they're set at $14,400 plus full benefits. If you're in Manaway Village or Township, Schillersville, Wyndham, Diamond, Nelson, Hiram, by Garrettsville, you're at $14,400 plus full benefits, and that's set by the state.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, once again, I wish it wasn't in our hands because it's a very
right.
awkward
It is an awkward
discussion.
situation. That's
I mean-
and that's the nice thing about if we tied it to OPERS and put it 10% above and just that's it. It's done. Never has to be looked at again. You don't have to worry about. Obviously, you could see the increase and eventually it outrun the 10%, but I mean, that's an easy way, and I don't know.
Mike's got his hand up.
Mr. Lampa.
Thank you. I'm just gonna say this, and then we can let it go. I think it needs to be a flat rate. I think it needs to be even across the board, and no matter how we do that, it needs to be done.
Yes.
Julie, I am sorry that you make $59 every 2 weeks or whatever it is.
She does not.
She did not.
And I think that was sad
Make
for all the years that you guys have been on council.
Yeah.
I look at this position as a second full-time job for all the work that I have been doing.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many hours I spent this weekend working on the website.
Yeah.
And most of the money that I get from council, the $262, I give back to the city
Yeah. Yeah.
by donating. So when we say there's no value on it,
No,
I just donated $50 to a family that needed Thanksgiving meal.
Mike, I'm sorry. I don't, if I said that, it came out totally the wrong way. I think I was saying you can't put a number on it because of all of the time and energy and commitment and effort. That was my, that was.
Right, I get it. When I took this position on, I looked at it as another job.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it as coming to a council meeting every 2 weeks.
Right. Yep. And that's evident in all that you do, Mike. I didn't, if I said you can't put value on it, I meant to say what my words meant were, how do you even put a number on how much a council person should make? I think that's a difficult thing to do because it's such a, it's almost like a volunteer position in a sense. And I
Right,
guess I
right, it
don't
is.
view it that way because I haven't been making that, it's.
But you know what? In every job, I wish we could do it here. It should be based on performance.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that.
What our council wishes. Anybody?
Well, let's
John Roper,
Mr. Kosciuszko.
why don't you make your suggestion and let's vote on it and we'll get on to the next subject.
yeah, let's make sure we're all on the same.
We spent a lot of time on this,
We have
besides all the hours before this.
10 flat and move on.
We can vote on it.
Second. I'll second, whatever it is.
Mr. I'll make a motion to ask Mr. Benny to prepare legislation to present at the December 28th Finance Committee meeting that adjusts all of council members' pay, both whether they're ward or at larges, all to $10,000 per year flat salary, starting effective the election that they're elected to. That's a motion.
Per the charter, right? That's.
Yeah.
I have a first.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Thank you. Item B, discuss audio to text software. Mr. Lampa?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I'm going to ask to take this off the agenda, and I will revisit it when I have time to investigate it, if that's okay.
Sounds good. Thank you. Item C, stage rental for Streetsboro Family Days. Mr. Meidinger?
Yeah, so, looks like we're on the stage level for discussion. I think we have the amount already in the 2021 budget. My recommendation that the city help family days with the stage rental for 2021 and proceed with the planning and development for a permanent solution for 2022.
Any discussion? Mr. Rudiger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard, and I don't know if anybody wants to chime in, I heard rumors that there might be a possible solution coming out in the near future for a permanent solution. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that might have any idea.
Mr. Mayor?
That would Greg
There is a possible solution, but it wouldn't be within the next year,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mr. Kasisko, were you gonna say something?
Well, no, I thought Greg suggested that, and John Rudiger said the same thing. Am I correct or incorrect?
John was asking if there was gonna be a solution more quickly.
A permanent solution coming up
Yes.
in
A
the
permanent
next
solution coming more quickly than,
5 years from now.
right. That's what he was clarifying.
Okay, that's what Greg suggested,
He,
a
he-
permanent stage.
he suggested renting one, I believe.
He didn't say when, but a permanent stage.
Right, yeah, right.
Right. But his
So
recommendation
we're both on the
was
same
to
page.
make a stage rental for 2021 and then hopefully get a permanent solution figured out.
Shortly after. Yep. All right, what do we want?
Okay, what do we,
Yep.
What do we need to do with this? Do we
I'm
have-
Do
sorry.
we need legislation?
No, I don't think we need anything at the moment. It's already currently in the 2021 budget, so I will work with the Family Day organization to get contracts and everything we need to do to get the stage rental done in a timely manner for the event.
Great.
And then we'll have to come back to you guys for the approval.
Sure, yep, but
Correct.
it'll be, when we pass the budget, it'll be in there already.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't need to do anything at this point.
Great. All right. Go ahead, Chuck.
Justin,
Go ahead, Chuck.
what do we do about next year then?
We're renting a stage next year. That's what that's
For
what
sure, then, okay, I just wanted to hear that.
Yep, that's what we're talking about.
Mr. Meidinger will work directly with
Okay.
you to work out the
Okay.
best solution.
John has something.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Hanna?
Just regarding this topic, do we know like when is this gonna the basketball courts? Is that gonna affect family days or where this stage goes?
Will it be
So we work.
So-
Yeah,
Just to know if it can.
we should be getting the bids back from the basketball course December 4th. Then we will bring it to council for the bid acceptance. We worked with Family Days, who were out there for a couple times looking at the different locations where the rented stage would go for the event. I think we're still in agreement with that location, and then we will work towards a more permanent solution.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or discussion? All right, moving on. Item D, discuss purchase of mobile stage. Mr. Lampa?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I don't think this needs to be on the agenda anymore since we're gonna take care of next year, 2021 rental. It may have to come back up if we don't have a solution in 2022.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Lampa. Item E, discuss 2021 proposed budget.
Wait, can I say something about the mobile stage?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Just really quickly, Mr. Lampa, thank you for all of your work and effort on that mobile stage. I thought that was a great idea, and I look forward to revisiting that next year. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, Ms. Essery.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I actually don't have anything to present that's different from the last time, so I'm not quite sure if council, I know they had a chance to review, so I wasn't sure if there's any questions that they wanted to go over, or,
I have a subline, proposal for international property maintenance code, and that's Mr. Lampa and Mr. Chaskowski.
Yeah, so I'll actually start off and then I'll lead it over to John. So we had a meeting on a certain place in the city that I guess our hands were tied with certain maintenance issues because our coding is not up to date and hasn't been up to date for a while. And I learned about this IPMC, which is actually International Property Maintenance Code, that should be written into all of our existing code. And John, correct me if I'm wrong when you talk. But I had asked Mr. Chakowski to give us a quote on how much this would be to update all of our current code to include the IPMC. And I believe it's something that we will eventually have to do when we do the, actually, I'll just defer this one to John, because it got confusing after, I can't remember the guy's name, but John will mention it. But we were talking about it, he's already working with us on the core concept meeting.
So to follow up what Councilman Mappa was saying, Mark Majeski from North Star Planning is assisting the city with the zoning and design guideline element of the core concept plan. And Mr. Majeski just got done doing a similar update to the City of Euclid's Code of Ordinances to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code with a specific eye towards supplementing the city's current exterior property maintenance regulations. That's exactly what we're looking to undertake here. The reason I believe that Mike asked me for a proposal was so that council had some sort of a cost estimate that they could consider. In talking with Jenny, it's my understanding that since the budget has already been presented from the mayor to council, any changes to that budget that was presented by the mayor to council needs to be approved by council, which is why it's being discussed by council at this point, and not something that's just brought up as part of the planning budget.
Great. Mr. Chakowski, can you tell me, is it commonplace for cities to have the IPMC adopted? Is it something new? Why haven't we adopted it prior?
I'll be honest with you, I do know of a few communities that have adopted the International Property Maintenance Code. With that being said, I cannot answer why the city hasn't taken steps to adopt it previously.
Well, I guess that goes to my question is if this, I'm just wondering what the code's actually, what the benefit is, and if it was that big of a benefit, why it hadn't come to anybody's mind. I mean, you've got a wonderful mind, Mr. Chakowski, for this stuff, and why I just wondered why you hadn't considered this before.
I'll be honest with you, we've been considering a lot of things for a long time, and it's not having the staff capacity, given the day-to-day requirements, to be able to move forward on this type of a thing. And so, given the discussion that we had with Councilman Lampa, I then reached out to Mark Majeski. Just so happens that he was working with another community on the exact same thing. And, you know, I guess I don't have a good answer for your question. There are plenty of things that we want updated in our codes, but, you know, as you guys can tell from the updates that I give to council bi-weekly, that Bob Simbiski has been doing a good amount of property maintenance enforcement. And I think one of the benefits, and I named a couple of them in the cover letter that I provided, but one of the benefits, I think, is that the model that the International Property Maintenance Code, the International Code Council comes out with, I think there's some level of preliminary vetting as to you know, the legitimacy of the standards, defensibility. You know, I'm getting into lawyer speak in terms of benefits, but that's two of the biggest benefits. You know, generally, I think our current exterior property maintenance regulations, or property maintenance regulations,
are vague in general. And this would sort of help to close the loop on some things, and add specificity where we think it's necessary.
Good. That was, I think, one of the points I wanted to drive to was that this would actually improve our local code to the point where it would give more teeth to our inspector and to our legal department where we need it.
You said that much better than I did.
Great. Mr. Mayor, I saw you had your hand up. Yep.
Thank you. The other part of this thing is until Dan D'Agostino got here, it had not, the property maintenance code to us, it may have been a little bit known to John, but to us, for the most part, it was unknown. And Dan, when Bob, the zoning inspector, got out there and tried to start enforcing things, we found where we had shortages at. And that's when Dan and John got together and said, hey, we can do something a lot better. And the property code is probably it, because the zoning code, like you guys have said all along, it doesn't have any teeth to it. And it takes us too long to get through it. And if we have something like this that has, basically policies and procedures that we can follow, we can do things in a more efficient manner. So it has been brought up before, Justin, basically because nobody brought it up before. And Dan has said, hey, we have this in other communities where I've worked, and that's when we started pursuing it. And when he got together with John, John says, yeah, I'm glad we can do something like this, or have this possibility, right?
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I mean, I agree. I was just trying to get that point out, on the floor. Mr. Lampe, you had your hand up, then Mr. Rudiger, Mr. Hammond.
I did, but I think that you had kind of answered the question where a little better than John was trying to answer before.
Oh, okay.
And John, correct me if I'm wrong. You could review this code and put this into our current codes, correct?
I have gone through the process of implementing a model text into Code of Ordinances, so I could certainly do it.
Okay.
It's the amount of time it would take.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
It's we don't have the availability for somebody to go in and update all our code.
Sure. We don't
And
have the resource.
since Mr. Majeski is his name,
Correct.
he is already working with us on the zoning for the core concept, that whole thing.
Right.
I just, I talked to John, and John brought it up, and I think it would be great to partner even further with him, since he's going to be looking at the zoning for that anyway. So that's just what I want to bring up.
Thank you. Mr. Rudiger?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Just to be clear, we're discussing this just to get an idea of what this is, but our true intent this evening is just to get this into the proposed 2021 budget, and then we will make a final decision later. So I know I appreciate all the information, and that does help us going forward when we do discuss this. But I think for tonight, I think we've gotten our main objective to go over this. And does Ms. Essery, has she been informed? Is this, I didn't even notice, is this in the proposed, well,
It is not, no, this
Because we
came
have
up
the
way
same
later than
budget?
everything was proposed. So if this is something council would like, that's totally fine. Just like we've done in prior years, if you guys want to make an amendment, you just increase this line item for the $12,000, and I'll make that amendment for your final approval in December.
Very good. Did you want to vote to go ahead and do that, or is that just something you'll put in your final proposal?
No, I need you guys to make a motion and approve that, because it's the mayor's budget that was presented did not include this, so anything now that needs changed, council needs to do that.
I will make a motion to amend the proposed budget to reflect the amount, which I believe is not to exceed
$12,000.
$12,000
Second.
to the 2021.
First and,
Get it?
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is so. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for that. All right, item 7, new business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure, go
So, on the budget, there's been no questions or anything like that? So are you guys good with passing this at the finance meeting then in December, or do we need another special finance at the December 14th meeting
I'm good.
for further discussion?
I don't need one.
If I think of something, I'll send an email, but
Yeah.
right now, everything looks good to me.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I know you guys didn't have a chance to look at it, and I just want to make sure there wasn't going to be an issue for passage. So on the 28th, I'll make sure that this $12,000 that's added in the contractual services for planning and zoning is in there, and that way you could pass that then for the annual budget.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, new business, item A, T6937, reallocate income tax revenue. Ms. Essery.
Thank you. So as part of the 2021 budget, there is the allocation of income tax. So as of right now, we're at 100% general fund, but as it's presented, I'm looking to have, as of January 1st, 2021, 82% going to the general fund and 18% going into the capital improvement fund. In my notes and everything as part of the budget presentation, the Bond Retirement Fund 301 did not need any income tax monies in order to accommodate payment for the annual judgment bonds. So this is just making that, as of January 1st, 2021, this allocation.
There's no discussion. I will make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is moved. All right, item B, discuss postage meter lease. Ms. Essery.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. We're actually up at the point of our postage meter. We had a 5-year deal with Pitney Bowes, and we did obtain 2 quotes, one from Pitney Bowes and one from Quadiat. Pitney Bowes was the cheaper of the 2, and I provided both contracts to council, and I'm asking that if there's no other questions, if you guys move this to emergency passage at the December 14th meeting to enter a 5-year term with Pitney Bowes.
If there's no discussion, I will make a motion to move this to the.
Oh, Mr. Lampa has his
Oh, I'm
hand up.
sorry, Mr. Lampa.
Thank you. Ms. Essery, this meter, whatever it is, postage meter,
Uh-huh.
if our online billing goes very well, do we get charged by how much we use, or?
No, actually, the water billing department hardly uses the postage meter. I mean, I'm not saying they don't. They might mail out final bills or different things like that. So the quarterly billing for water actually does not flow through our postage meter at all.
Okay.
So this is more for anything that gets mailed out in City Hall. For my department, for example, all the AP checks that we process every week, they all get ran through the postage meter.
Very good. Thank you.
Of course.
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to the December 14th full council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. December 14th. All right, item C, T6938, renew annual Lexipol subscription for police department. Chief Wayne.
I think you're on mute.
Yep.
She's not on mute. I don't
No?
know if
No.
she's connected to audio.
Your audio just might not be connected for some reason.
Does anyone have pressing questions for Chief Wayne on this subject?
It looked all
I don't.
self-explanatory.
I will say this is part of the annual budget, and she has the money available.
Right. This
Alright.
is
I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
second.
Second.
Second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is moved.
Thank you, Chief Wayne.
All right, item D, T6939, accept donation from Jeff Allen for beautification. Mr. Meidinger.
Yes, thanks. This was a donation from Jeff Allen and Allen Alloys from our beautification bulk item cleanup we did a few months ago. is the amount of $400 and is being donated back to the city's beautification line item.
So nice.
There's no discussion, I'll make a.
Chuck has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Kasisko.
You're on mute, Chuck.
You're on mute, Chuck.
You're on
You're
mute.
on mute.
Can't hear you, Chuck.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Sorry.
There you go.
Greg, do we send a letter of thanks to him once this is, passed?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can send a letter of thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There's no further discussion, I'll make a motion of thanking Mr. Allen from all of us and moving this to tonight's full council.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item E, T6940, amend ordinance number 2020-131, service garage owner contingency. Mr. Miller.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, what this is, so you can actually do some of the work, we're trying to get the underground electric run, and it's a lot cheaper to save some of the contingency money if service does it, and it'll probably take 2 guys 2 to 3 days to do. Roughly the price that I'm gonna get out of that is like $7,000-8,000, it's basically just the materials. They wanted over double that to do the same running. They wanted over around 18,000. So that's why I would like to have this amended so we can do some of that work to save us some of the contingency money.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Any discussion?
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
Second.
First and second to move this
Thank you.
tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, it is moved. I'm going to, if nobody has a issue, I want to move H above
Yeah.
F.
Yep.
So we're going to move to HT 6936, amend 2020 annual appropriations. Ms. Essery?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Basically, it's in and out for pretty much everything, except I am increasing the municipal income tax based on actual receipts through November, so that way I can make a transfer. So that way we have the balance needed in the capital fund for not only 2020, but 2021 budget amount.
Looks great.
Very good. Any
Moving that
discussion?
effect, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard
I think
someone.
he said no.
For some reason, I can't hear John's mic.
Oh.
Mr. Lampa, can you hear me now?
No.
Do you want to try talking in this one?
Weird. Mr. Lampa, can you hear me?
I can now.
Oh,
Oh.
that's weird.
That is weird.
I have a first.
Them
Second.
both.
I have a first and second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is moved. All right, item F, motion to recess into executive session to consider pending litigation.
So moved?
Second.
First and second, Caroline, can you please call roll?
I didn't actually hear who was first and second.
I didn't either.
John was first,
John
and
Rudiger was first. John
Julie-
Hannon was.
I heard Julie. Okay, John Hannon was second.
Okay, so roll call for executive session, Mr. Whittaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Field,
Yes.
Mr. Lampa,
Yes.
Ms. Wagner,
Yes.
and Mr. Kasisko,
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. We are
Okay,
now
you're-
in executive session.
Did John Hannon stop the recording too?
Yes.
Okay.
We're back. Did you miss us?
Yes.
Well, this better take 15 minutes, plus Chief Ryan holds his comments.
It's okay with me.
Oh, real quick. I'll make a motion to reconvene from executive session.
Second.
We have a first and second to reconvene from executive session. Do I need a roll?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are back in session.
Okay.
Item 8, citizen comments.
Justin,
Yeah,
before you move on to that, we had a small conversation, well, you guys had your own conversation about an item that we may want to see if council would allow adding to this meeting regarding the police department elevator. Trish, can you explain further and see if it's something we can handle right now? Because we need Frank's input on this too. Is he back yet?
Frank
He's
is
not back
not
yet.
No.
back yet, it doesn't look like.
And if I should wait for him to get back,
I don't
or
think
go
he's
ahead.
back. I'll go.
Well, you can at least present it to council and then we'll get Frank's.
I think John is going to get him.
Caroline,
Yes,
I forgot to hit record when we came back in here. So
just now? Can you do it now?
I just did it, but I didn't get the motion to reconvene.
That's fine.
Did you write? Okay.
That's fine. Just get the rest. I got the motion. Mute. There's your video.
So I actually forgot to just record the whole meeting.
Oh, here we
so
go.
just have to do it by hand.
Here's Frank and Sarah.
There you go.
All right, Chief Wayne?
Okay. What we have is the elevator in the police department stopped working Friday. We had Gable Elevator came out today to take a look at it, and it's a fairly significant issue. They're hoping that it's the motherboard, which would be a $3,842.23 repair to get it up and running again. If it's not, Gable will keep that motherboard, and we will have to seek proprietary software from Schindler, which we're hoping to avoid because that's something that's going to be much more expensive. We just got this information late this afternoon, so I wasn't able to get it out to where I need to, but what I'm hoping to do, if it's even remotely possible, we do have the money left in our building contractual, is if there's a way to try and get this approved by motion for council, rather than waiting what would put us into the middle or end of next month to try and get it approved to get the money for Gable so we can try and get this fixed.
Chief Wayne, did anyone get stuck in the elevator?
If they did, they're still in it, so I hope not.
Frank, Sarah, it's a
There's an emergency provision under the code that the mayor could sign, authorize that. I haven't looked at the emergency language.
we don't have to pass anything, right?
Well, I thought it might be an option if council would consider it. You could even authorize the expenditure by motion.
Right.
If it's not literally an emergency that the mayor would have to authorize, which would then follow up with a council action anyway. But we just weren't certain if it would be maybe a motion authorization by the Committee of Finance, or if it needed to go through the actual council meeting tonight to spend the $38.42 for them to start repairs on the elevator.
Because
we weren't sure when the next Board of Control would be. So the thought was maybe we could do it this evening, but Frank, I wasn't sure the legalese on that, so that's why I'm sorry we're bombarding you with this like this.
I think you can make a motion to move that to the full council and everybody can vote on it.
I'll make a
You
motion to.
can do it by motion.
I'll make a motion to move this topic for the police department elevator to tonight's full council to have a vote on this expenditure.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is moved.
Mr. Benny, where would that fall under? Because it's not introduction of legislation. Should I just have it under my president of council comments, or should I have it?
Reports, communications, maybe?
Reports, communications from departments?
Where's the agenda?
It's right
Regular council. I would put it under probably reports, communications.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8, citizens' comments. There are none. Item 9, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Motion to adjourn? Second.
First and
Second.
second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn.
Caroline, let me know when you're ready.
1 second.
I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of Monday, November 23rd, 2020. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Kuziska.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Hannon.
Here.
Mr. Lampa.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Present.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Mrs. Field.
Present.
Item 3, disposition of minutes, regular council meeting of November 9th, 2020.
Motion to accept as presented.
Second. First and second to accept as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, they are accepted. Citizens' comments, seeing no citizens. If there's nothing anybody else has got from any citizens, moving on. Item 5, reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. I'll entertain a motion to authorize payment not to exceed $4,000 to fix the police department elevator that was discussed in the finance committee meeting on this evening of November 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have a first and a second and a second. Caroline, could you please poll?
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
I can't hear anything from her.
Yes.
Me either.
Is her,
I turned it up,
It's on.
like all.
make sure both mics are not muted next to you.
Yes.
Okay, then Mrs. Field,
Yes.
Mr. Kuziska,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Ritter.
Yes. That does pass. Very good. Anybody else for this topic? Just departments, reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. Chief Reinholds, you have nothing tonight? Okay.
No, I actually have something, if you don't mind. I'll make it brief. You've received the activity logs Captain Grimm sends out for the past 2 weeks. We've been very busy this past week with actually fire calls, as well as the high winds caused havoc with a lot of down wires, situations like that. The station update, the station's coming along very nice. They're hoping to be under roof real after Thanksgiving. And once East Ohio Gas makes that connection manifold, we'll be able to get the heaters inside. And that's when we'll be able to start doing the drywall. Right now it's electrical, HVAC, and the plumbing. And they want to get the roof on as well. So we had a minor delay with all that rain we had the other week. But I think they'll be caught up. So the station's moving along very nice. As a matter of fact, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, we're planning to have a walk through the station. Just to see what kind of progress they have. Our AFG grant for the $200,000+, we received a new self-contained breathing apparatus, or mask, that delivered. So when doing inventory and going over the new units, training, and familiarization, so we should have them in service by January. Last Tuesday, we had a live burn training at Tri-C West. And the purpose of this training was we invited our mutual aid neighbors of Kent, Manaway, Ravenna Township, and Aurora. And what we did was we practiced live burns, and our goal was command and control, with somebody being in charge, mutual aid coming in and running the fire with your mutual aid companies. And I think it was a very good success. There'll be video coming up on your next council meeting. Ed McCormick was there, video taking pictures just to kind of give you an idea what it was like. Our web page with Captain Graham is working, set down the day. It's moving along very nicely. Thank you, Mr. Lampa. And last but not least is Happy Thanksgiving. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Lampa, did you have something to add to that? Mr. Lampa, did you have something to add to that?
I was actually going to ask Mr. Miller for an update on the service garage. We haven't heard anything.
Service garage, they just started putting the steel up for the building back today. The floor's in, all the conduits in, all the piping on the inside is done. So they got probably, they didn't make too much progress today, but hopefully that they can get that under roof there in the next few weeks.
Are we on schedule for that?
Yeah, it's still on schedule for February. There's some things that are pending. The gas line is pending on how fast they can get the gas company to get the gas to them. But so far, they're still on schedule, but it could change getting closer to the date. Just
Awesome.
because of the utility work.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Mr. Meininger.
Yeah, I just got a couple quick updates. Traditionally, the Thursday after Thanksgiving is our holiday lighting ceremony. Due to the recent notice from Portage County as the stay-at-home advisory, we will be canceling that event for this year. However, we will be working on we would call it a Holly Jolly drive-through in City Park. We have a new Santa's workshop that we are putting up. We'll have lights, and we'll have the residents can drive by, see Santa's workshop, drop off letters to Santa, and then just do a quick drive-through event. I guess in lieu of gathering at the town square. We did receive our presents to Santa for the Santa on the Fire Truck program. Had a huge response again. We're close to the numbers that we had last year. That is scheduled for Saturday, December 19th. So we're working with Chief on how we're going to keep everybody safe as we drive around and Santa delivers letters or the presents to the residents. So I will keep you guys updated on that. The notice about the Holly Jolly drive-through will go out tomorrow.
Great.
Mr. Rudiger, if I may.
Mr. Lampa?
Mr. Meininger, is there any way that we could do like a live stream or some type of video where we light the square up with a few people?
You're talking like doing a Facebook Live thing or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have something staged, or we could do something from Facebook Live from the new workshop. We can discuss that offline if you want.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Hannon?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for bringing that up. That was going to be my suggestion. The past 2 years during the lighting ceremony, I actually Facebook Lived it, so for the people that couldn't go. So I think at least when we turn it on, we should just videotape it. I think we'll get a lot of views on Facebook for that. And I can help if you need me to.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else? Chief Wayne?
Just wanted to mention, most of you are probably aware we do our annual Shop with a Cop program, typically the first week of December, where we take dozens of kids around town on a breakfast parade to either Target or Walmart, and then do a sponsored shopping event with them. Unfortunately, COVID has kind of knocked that out of possibility for this year. What we are going to do is a modified event. We've gotten a list from the school of probably more kids that we're going to be able to shop for this year. But we're going to shop for them and prepare food baskets for the families. I'll put it out there, if anybody's interested in donating, the funds go through the Streetsboro Police Association. Any money that's funneled through there goes right back into the program. And for each roughly $100, we can sponsor presents for a child, and then whatever we have extra, we're going to do for food baskets for the family. So our hope is to be able to do a very small parade of officers with lights going to deliver stuff sometime in December.
Would you be able to send us an email just to let us know, like what you just said? I'd like to make a donation.
Sure, I would definitely appreciate it. It'll also be going up on our Facebook page either tomorrow or Wednesday.
Thank you.
With specifics.
Mrs. Field?
Yeah, no, if I can just add to that, are we putting this on Facebook? Is it like on the Streetsboro discussion page so that people know and can donate? I don't know. Can we?
It'll be up on our police department page. I don't have
share it.
access to
Okay.
the discussion
Well, let's
page,
just
so
share that
once it's
share
up,
so
whoever wants to.
I usually share if you have something going on.
Yeah, it'll be up there. We've just been finalizing the details, trying to figure out what we'd be able to do this year since things are so different than they normally are.
If you're donating, would that be do you do it online or do you send a check? Like how is
We don't have an online for it yet. We do typically cash or check donation made out to the Streetsboro Police Association. If somebody wants to drop something off or send it in the mail, they can send it to the police department, and we route it to the officers that are members of the association board, and then it gets deposited, and then we take it out from there and get the gift cards and stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you. We'll make sure that gets shared. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Seeing none. Item 6, introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency T6036, amend 2020 annual appropriations number 15. Caroline, could you please read by title?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2019-168, the 2020 annual appropriation ordinance number 15.
Motion to suspend?
Second?
First and second to suspend. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Rain?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Kosiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
I have a first and second to adopt. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Rain?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Kosiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. T6036 now becomes ordinance 2020-163. T6937, reallocate income tax revenue. Caroline, could you please read by title?
In ordinance amending section 133.12 of Title V, Part 1 of the Codified Ordinances relating to allocation of tax revenue produced by the city's municipal income tax and declaring an emergency so that such terms will begin immediately.
Motion to suspend?
Second.
I have first and second to suspend. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Kosiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
I
Second?
didn't hear Mr. Rudiger at all.
First,
I didn't either.
first and second to adopt. Caroline, could you please call roll?
I missed who was first and second.
Mr. Hannon?
And
Mr. Hannon and Mrs. Field.
Okay.
I didn't hear.
not here.
I don't know.
Right. Motion to adopt, Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mrs. Field.
Yes.
Mr. Kosiska.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger.
Yes. T6937 now becomes ordinance 2020-164. T6938, renew annual Lexipol subscription for police department. Caroline, could you please read by title?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Lexipol LLC for the purchase of a web-based law enforcement policy manual subscription service for the police department and declaring an emergency in order to maintain continuity of services.
Motion to suspend?
Second?
I have a first and second to suspend. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Rainey?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
I have a first and second to adopt. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Rainey?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. T6938 now becomes ordinance 2020-165. T6939, accept donation from Jeff Allen for beautification. Caroline, could you please read by title?
A resolution accepting a donation of $400 from Jeffrey Allen and Allen Alloys and Iron LLC for use in beautification of the city of Streetsboro and declaring an emergency to expedite the receipt of the donation.
Motion to suspend?
Second?
I have a first and second to suspend. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
I have a first and second to adopt. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. T6939 now becomes ordinance 2020-166. T6940, amend ordinance number 2020-131, service garage owner contingency. Caroline, could you please read by title?
An ordinance amending Section 2 of Ordinance 2020-131, authorizing payment on contracts for owner-furnished items relative to the construction of the new truck storage building and declaring an emergency to immediately meet the necessary expenses of the city.
Motion to suspend?
Second?
I have a first and second to suspend. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
I have a first to adopt. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yeah. Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Actually, I think that was Justin that motioned.
Caroline.
For,
I made the motion.
oh, okay, sorry. All right, then, Mr. Ring, we'll go to you.
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. T6940 now becomes ordinance 2020-167. Item number 7, first reading, there are none. Item number 8, second reading, there are none. Item number 9, third reading. T6924, establish 2021 compensation for non-collective bargaining employees. Caroline, could you please read by title?
An ordinance establishing rates of compensation and ancillary benefits for non-bargaining employees of the city effective April 5, 2021.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
I have first and second to adopt, Mr. Hannon and Mrs. Field. Caroline, could you please call roll?
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
And Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. T6924 now becomes ordinance 2020-168. T6925, authorized 27 pays in 2021. Caroline, could you please read by title?
An ordinance authorizing the payment of 27 paychecks to all salaried and non-salaried personnel for 2021.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
I have a first and second to adopt. Carolyn, could you please call roll?
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes, T6925 now becomes ordinance 2020-169. Item 10, Mayor's Report. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. I'm glad Jenny's still on here because we're gonna see her smile for probably the first or second time tonight. We got notification today from Medical Mutual that, we are going to receive a credit from Medical Mutual of 30% of the December bill of 160. The December bill is going to be about 167,000, and we will receive approximately $50,000. And Sean, is that a credit or is that going to be a check?
You're on mute.
The credit.
Okay, it'll be a
It's a
credit.
credit card. You
We're
send
going to save
it.
50 grand for December's bill.
Look at that smile on Jenny's face.
See? I knew that would happen. But yeah, that was real nice that, you know, anytime we can, save a few bucks, and $50,000 is a little bit more than a few bucks. So we're happy with that. And,
Mr. O'Malley has his hand up.
hold on one second, Patrick. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Remember, no more than 6 of you at home. And we're not gonna have the Thanksgiving police out, so don't worry about that. So, good luck, everybody. Have a good, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks.
Mr. O'Malley, did you have something?
No, I hit the clap.
Oh, he was clapping.
Oh, there was a clapping.
Yeah. Who's got the clap? Oh.
Oh, Shawnee, just go on mute.
All right. Item 11, President of Council's comments. I would like to entertain a motion to add a special full council meeting on Monday, November 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. here in council chambers for topics of executive session to discuss pending litigation with possible legislation and action to follow.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Carolyn, could you please call roll?
And was it Justin and Mike? First and
Yes.
second? Okay. Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Kasiska?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Field?
Yes.
Mr. Rudiger?
Yes. All right, thank you, everybody. So we will have a special council meeting next Monday here in council chambers, just with this one item. Mr. Mayor, you can let your staff know, whoever doesn't need to attend, doesn't need to. I'll let you make that decision. He's on mute.
You're on mute.
Still on mute.
Okay. You have most of them here, so staff, you don't have to be here next Monday night, okay?
You hear that, Frank and Sarah? Probably. Anyway. Okay,
John gave you a thumbs up.
Nice. Other than that, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Stay healthy, stay safe. Remember, a Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU Christmas. Item 12. Council members' comments. Since you're laughing, Mrs. Field, you're first.
Oh, I almost sprayed my tea. Yes, just happy Thanksgiving to everyone. There is so much to be thankful and grateful for, and I really hope everybody is able to have a nice holiday. And that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Ring.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Stay safe, stay warm.
Mr. Kasisko.
Real quick, I want to thank Craig for his efforts in helping put the stage and his budget together for next year. I appreciate everybody's help. And we will be there to help wherever we can for the city once we get this thing built. For any questions or any help needed, we'll be there. That's all.
Mr.
Happy
Lampa?
Thanksgiving.
Mr. Lampa?
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Just want to remind everybody and everybody that's listening that we're still collecting for the community Christmas. Josh and I had decided to take it over from the Schaefer's this year. They had a family medical situation, so we kind of stepped up and did it. We've got a whole truck full of toys so far. And we are accepting monetary donations, and we have some of those as well. So just wanted to remind everybody.
Awesome.
But have a good holiday.
I have a,
Mr. Ring?
Mike, we, the rioters at the Legion voted to, which we usually do every year, buy bicycles and helmets.
Oh, awesome.
Do you have room? We're probably going to buy about 10 of them. Do you have
How many?
Probably 10. So do you have room?
Yeah, well, if you could drop them off at the Eagles, they would store them for us.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, we just want to know where to drop them off.
Yeah, the Eagles will take them.
Okay, thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Lampa. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Thank you, riders. Ms. Wagner?
I'd just like to say happy Thanksgiving.
Very good. Mr. Hannon?
I would also just like to say happy Thanksgiving.
Very good. Item 13, announcement. City Hall will be closed Thursday, November 26th and Friday, November 27th for the Thanksgiving holiday. There will be a special full council meeting on Monday, November 30th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. There will also be an organizational meeting, safety committee, service committee, and a regular council meeting on Monday, December 14th, 2020 at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? So moved. Second.
Have a first, second, and another second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Aye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody.